Why do your drawing suck so bad? So yeah, that's this range. Nero's about this range. A lot of my characters are about this range. I get cast for, they go, we like this voice, can you do this one and this one? You know, so occasionally I do, you know, whatever young kid voice.
Like Renton?
What was that?
Like Renton?
Yeah, like Renton. It's early, I don't know if I can do Renton.
I'm Renton Thurston.
Something like that. So, how's it going? I had 2 panels yesterday. I'm trying to think of what I can talk about that it didn't say it does, but I guess there's a few people here that didn't hear my fart story. You guys want to hear a fart story? All right. Some of you guys are, no. Okay, so when you're working as a voice actor, you're usually, especially if you're doing a game or anime, you're in the booth by yourself, and some of the booths are small. You know, they're like a small phone booth actually. Some of them, but some of them are a little bigger than that. And I usually show up a little early because I like to read through the script so I can figure out where my character's coming from, where I'm going, so that it's easier for me, obviously, because I can just tap into the character. I know where my dialogue should be or how it should go. And so I usually get there about 15 minutes early. And so I was working on Melody of Oblivion. I don't know if anybody ever saw that. I played the bad guy solo. And I go in 15 minutes early, and I'm walking in, I'm about to head into the booth, and I see, the door is here, you know, and it's not a very big door, you know, but it's a door, and the engineer is adjusting the microphone. It's like this, right? And he kind of sees me approaching, and I'm about to walk in, and I'm like happy, like, hey, or whatever, and then he comes rushing past me through the net and bumps into my shoulder, like, oh, you don't have to go in there, and bumps into me, full on, rushes out the door. And I was like, what the hell was that about? You know, I was like, it was just really odd, like he had to get out of there for some reason, you know, I'm like, that is very strange. And so I walk in and I pick up the script and I'm like, oh! Whoa! And it was like the worst, it was the egg fart. Everybody knows what an egg fart is. It's that nasty, deep, stinky egg fart, and I was like, dude, and I was so mad, and I was like, man, I have to stand in here. I was like, you know, and previously before this, my friend was telling me some stupid story about do you know if you smell a fart, it's actually the poop particles and they can get inside your mouth and everything and on your teeth. And so I'm thinking that in my head. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna breathe all your, I'm gonna be eating poop particles in here for the next 2 hours. Thank you very much. It was awful. So that was a fart story. I have another, I guess, fart story too, but it's not really anything. I was working on Wolf. Have you guys seen Wolf Street? It's a cool show, huh? So I was working on that when Mary Elizabeth was directing, and you know, I like to usually get there as early as I can, like 15 minutes, not as early, but early. But this time I didn't. I woke up late and I showered and I didn't even have a chance to eat, so I just rushed over to the studio because I didn't want to be obviously really late. So I showed up just in time. And I get in there, and you guys know what it's like when you're and I said this yesterday too, but this is just me, so if I'm just weird, then okay, then I'm just weird. But you know, in school, if my stomach would be growling, I'd tap the table and kick some papers, I'm shuffling, making a little bit of noise. You know what I'm talking about, right? Just one person? Maybe? No, I'm by myself, okay. Right, so, you know, it's just embarrassing. You don't want your stomach to go, and I always pitch the moment when you're is it gone? Is it over? You know? And so my stomach was doing that. You could fight it with water, you know, which I learned in the booth. You get enough water, then it shut it up for a couple lines, you know. And so anyhow, so I've been doing my session this way, and anytime that I can feel it coming on, and you take a drink, or I shuffle my paper. I'll just look through the script, you know, because it's really embarrassing for some reason. And then in between, as this line, I'm supposed to do this line, and it's boop, 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 and I'm supposed to talk, but my stomach goes, it didn't make the normal, so I was I totally squeezed out a fart, you know? And I was I was what kind of stomach noise is this, man? What's going going on in there that would make that noise, you know? It doesn't make sense. And I can feel them looking at me like what? And I look over and I'm like, I swear I didn't fart in here, man. I know it sounded like a fart, but I didn't fart. You know, someone's been growling all the time. Have you heard? No, you didn't? It was like, I was covering it up, but it really didn't fart. You come in and smell, and they're like, it's embarrassing, man. I get embarrassed a lot. I get a few embarrassing stories. I got another one. You want to hear another one? It's not a fart story. But I was walking through this parking lot with my wife, and we were walking through the parking lot or whatever, and I don't know why she's doing this, but she's like, I'm taller than you. And I'm like, you're not taller than me, what are you talking about? She's like, you have spiky hair, so you're taller. That's what she sounds like. And then I'm like, oh, whatever, you know, and then she pulls me over to this like van that has like tinted windows, and then we stand there, and I'm looking in the tinted window, my reflection and her reflection, and we're standing there, and I'm like, you're not taller than me. And she's like, yes, you are. And I'm like pushing her, and like, you know, trying to kick her knees out. So we're just pointing and laughing at each other, and pointing at our picture, and laughing, and pointing, and I look, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I look in, and I peer through the window, and I'm like, is there somebody in there? And I see, like, a lady in there like this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's someone here. And we've been there for like a minute and a half. And we're pointing and laughing. And I'm like, there's someone here. And then I look down a little lower, and she's breastfeeding her child. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I pulled her away, I'm like, and she's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Breastfeeding in there. She's like, what? And we turn around and look, and this lady's like hopped out of her van, and she like gets in the driver's seat and like drives away. And we're like, oh my gosh, this was a church parking lot. So this is where people knew me too. So I was like, oh man. I didn't recognize the lady, but it was awful, man. Horrible thing. Yes.
Who's your favorite role that you've done?
My favorite role? One of my favorite roles would be Nero from Devil May Cry 4. Because I had a lot of freedom in acting, and I went to Japan to do all the motion capture. Japan, obviously, if I did anything with Japan, going to Japan would be cool, you know? Taking a poop in Japan was pretty cool, too. Seriously, those toilets are pretty weird. I actually, they're really confusing, too. Because, like, it's all Japanese for one thing. And you're like, who is this Jew? That would be one. Ichigo is one that I really enjoy. I really like doing Ichigo and Hollow Ichigo. Code Geass really ended up being one of my favorites too. I guess there's quite a few. Kevin Wolfstrid, Vash. Yeah, so I mean there's a few. It's hard for me to really kind of pick just one, but yes.
What did they do to Hollow Ichigo?
Well, Hollow Ichigo